Okay. Welcome back to another day of Empowerment Week. Today we have Spencer. I'm going to butcher your last name. Bl
Blomquist?
by Blomquist. Okay.
Yes.
Spencer Blomquist. He's going to talk to us about employment, different resources, and just, yeah, all the things about employment in the disability community. So I'm gonna go ahead, hand it over to Spencer. You can go ahead and introduce yourself, and take it away.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, again, my name is Spencer Blomquist, and I am a C4 quadriplegic. My injury was originally occurred on October 10th, 2008. So I've been living with my disability for approximately 15 years now. And let me tell you, time has flown by. And yeah, we're here to talk a little bit more about maybe joining the workforce and or maybe rejoining the workforce for those of you who have had jobs prior to your disability, occurring and everything. And a little brief history about myself is my injury I sustained from being the victim of armed robbery. So I was pretty much just at a gas station, got off work one night, going to a second job, stopped at a gas station. Unfortunately, someone opened my car door, put a gun to my head, and tried to rob me of my personal items. Obviously, they left me as a C4 quadriplegic by gunshot to the neck. So that's how my disability journey started. And, we're going to go from there, talking a little bit more about how I became employed, maybe some of the things I've did to make the employment process a little easier, and some of the missteps and mistakes I maybe made in the beginning that, might be useful to some of you as far as gaining some meaningful employment and everything. So I'd like to start with early on in my injury. It was definitely a shocking experience. But I did have a prior experience when it came to disability. Before my injury, my father was actually disabled. He had a stroke. Right before I was born. So I was a little bit familiar with disability, physical disabilities, and I definitely had some understanding of it. So the night of my injury, I kind of knew immediately. I unfortunately wasn't unconscious. I was conscious the entire time. Everything was happening. So my disability, I kind of knew what happened immediately. So it wasn't really a shock to me. But obviously, the days that followed, you have so many different experiences. You're learning a whole new way of living, and the last thing on your mind necessarily is employment. But I was actually, my worried about getting to work the next night. So I woke up the next day. I'm like, I got to get to work, and they're like, no, you're not going to walk again, and it was a little struggle. Some of the things that really prevented me from working immediately, obviously, the biggest barrier for a lot of people is going to be transportation. Getting in the community and whatnot is definitely going to be challenging after you first become disabled. But from hanging out with people that had similar disabilities and interacting with other people, I kind of learned the ropes pretty quickly. And then one of the first resources that I was really introduced to living with a disability was going to be vocational rehabilitation. Anybody that's looking to gain for gainful employment and everything is probably going to hear vocational rehabilitation come on, be talked about. I definitely recommend everybody who's watching now or will be watching this in the future to definitely go back to check out I believe it was Josh Basile, is that correct? Last year, he did a fantastic presentation about employment and stuff. And, I definitely aspire to be as successful as him. He definitely, his video was definitely impactful after watching a couple weeks ago. I definitely advise everybody to also watch that. But some of the things unique to my journey was first, really arranging transportation. I definitely am not one that's self-motivated. I really didn't have any access to accessible technology 15 years ago. Technology was a little bit different at the time. We didn't have Alexa speakers. We didn't have Siri necessarily to talk to. Whereas it's commonplace now, those assistive technologies were a little bit more limited, a lot more time consuming, way more expensive to get entry into the assistive technology space. So it's definitely something that I was presented with assistance with that through vocational rehabilitation. So vocational rehabilitation is really what started me on my journey for professional employment and stuff. So before my injury, I was working as a bartender, restaurant manager. I had a passion for travel, so I started 3 months after my injury, 3 months before my injury, I signed a contract to work for a Norwegian cruise line as a bar and beverage operations manager. I was supposed to live on the ship for a 9 month contract. I was supposed to graduate with my hospitality hotel management degree, just an associate's degree, and I had a job lined up right after my graduation. So unfortunately, that particular job did not to get to turn into fruition, and I did not get to enjoy that job. But as we'll discuss a little bit later on, my passion for travel, I was still able to eventually pursue that passion. And you know, someone early in their 20s, when you get injured or even before you get injured, you really don't know what direction you want to go in. You kind of dabble in little things here and there, and you really don't learn sometimes till you're 20, late 20s, maybe even your 30s. Some people mid 30s, they're like, oh, I'm working this dead end job, I really don't enjoy it. I'm not enjoying this particular field, or I don't necessarily enjoy that. So it's definitely a learning experience. But vocational rehabilitation, when I first signed up with them, they were able to give me some uh evaluation psychologically, make sure that I'm worth the time of investing that money in me. So they're going to evaluate you, maybe find some skills, some things that you're passionate about that you would maybe be useful for you to work, maybe give you some vocational training as far as what you can do with your disability. So I think they're a really great resource for that. And then some of the things that they help me help fund for me to achieve my employment goals. Now, whenever dealing with vocational rehabilitation, you really do have to stress to them that this is all to pursue a career, because the end goal with vocational rehabilitation isn't just to buy you a bunch of cool stuff. It's really to, push you towards employment. And, as we'll discuss a little bit later on, I did do some contract work for vocational rehabilitation. If you can justify the need for it, vocational rehabilitation will cover it. And just to give you a few examples of some of the things that I've had vocational rehabilitation cover over the years, are going to be home automation systems. So living with a disability, I didn't always have 24-hour caregivers. And like I said, this was before the time of Alexa, Siri, and whatnot. So vocational rehabilitation was able to provide me with some high-end equipment. The system I used at the time was called Multimedia Max. It was a combination of Dragon and X10 software, which was designed back in the 1980s. So it was some basic smart home automation stuff at the time. Allowed me to open my door, give me some door openers, control my thermostat. We were able to get an adjustable bed that was voice controlled. Since at the time I did not have any use of my arms after my first being injured, I was relying on a sip and puff wheelchair. I'm not sure if many of you are familiar with that or not, but I did progress to where I can control a joystick chair. But some of the tools that they provided me early on really allowed me to get back to school. So they also provided me with a laptop. They covered some of my college expenses. So whatever FAFSA and grants did not cover, vocational rehabilitation stepped in there and paid for some of my educational college courses. They paid for my books. I got them to pay for a van modification. So we all know that wheelchair accessible vehicles are significant expense. Probably one of the biggest expense that anybody may incur, aside from a wheelchair if you don't have insurance. So now a minivan today is $41,000 approximately to modify a Toyota Sienna minivan with a wheelchair accessible ramp. And now that's not even talking about hand controls or any high tech features as far as the ability to drive on your own. That's just for the ramp, the lowered floor and the basics and stuff. So that $41,000 in addition to a vehicle, significant. And vocational rehabilitation is there to provide services like that to people with disabilities. I've been a client of Voc Rehab probably for about 13 years now, and the total of money that they've invested in me is probably close to 150 to $175,000. I've had to modify about 2 vehicles. They've provided me with home automation stuff 3 times now. And reason being is my house was flooded during a hurricane, and unfortunately we didn't have flood insurance and stuff. So they've been there for me over the years just to make sure I stay employed or on a track to employment. And then some of the other things that they did cover for me was a mobile arm support, gave me a little bit extra ability in my arms. I've had them cover robotic hands for me and stuff. Those are definitely some assistive things. They paid for caregivers while I was in class. So, I was on a Medicaid waiver program, and since I did have family that was able to help a little bit, this Medicaid waiver program, I did not have 24-hour nursing care. Although, even though I did require it due to my disability and my needs and stuff. So, they definitely stepped in there and covered a lot of those expenses that nobody could really afford out of pocket. I was fortunate to have insurance when I first was injured. This was pre-Obamacare, so there was a max on the amount of coverage, and I blew through that the first day, just spending time in the ICU. So my insurance was pretty much gone. So Medicaid was really the backbone of my insurance and my care that I was provided, and I was on the wait list for probably 3 or 4 years before I can even, get approved for any kind of caregivers or anything like that. So, vocational rehabilitation, if you're willing to pursue school or higher education or any kind of career stuff, they can provide you with some caregiver. Maybe not, they're not going to give you 24-hour support, obviously, but during working hours or time when you have to travel to and from school, they can provide you with transportation assistance, provide you with a lot of those things that you do need. And now, obviously, moving on to the caregiver point, Medicaid is definitely a little challenging, and thankfully, in my area of Pensacola, Florida, I do have access to the Center for Independent Living of Northwest Florida, and they were a fantastic resource as well for. Many of them nationwide have loan lockers where they can provide you with loan equipment until you can secure your own, whether that be through insurance, other types of funding. They can guide you to local opportunities, career fairs for people with disabilities. They were a great resource. Not everybody has them, but typically most areas across the United States do have one that serves their region. So it's definitely a good resource for you to maybe reach out and try to find one of them, or an organization similar to Center for Independent Living. They will definitely assist you with guiding you to the right place to maybe sign up for Medicaid or sign up for a Medicaid waiver program and whatnot. A lot of states do offer what's called a Medicaid buy-in program. Those buy-in programs do allow you to earn some more money versus the actual limits that each state imposes. Each state has their own restriction. And unfortunately, Florida, we do not have a buy-in program, so I do have to utilize a couple different things, and it's probably just because a lot of elderly people do move here. So, if they had a buy-in program, I'm sure 50% of the elder population, would be taking advantage of that. And it would pretty much run the state dry of funding pretty quickly. So, while we do have a great waiver program, once you are fortunate enough to get approved for that, which provides me 24-hour nursing care. Unfortunately, I'm kind of stuck earning below a certain threshold of income to keep me employed and everything. But I'm going to talk a little bit more about some other resources and ideas that maybe might be unique to your situation as well. So for instance, probably about 8 years ago or so, I believe it was, I was introduced also to Able United, and that's going to be the Able provider here in the state of Florida. In Florida, it's run by the prepaid college board in the state of Florida. Since becoming a user of Able United, I am now a brand ambassador, and I do earn some income for doing some events with them. I go to various disability events and stuff, so they do provide me somewhat of an income. But moving back a second, sorry, I'm jumping all over the place here, but the home automation aspect. So after my home automation system was installed, I actually was speaking to the owner of the company that vocational rehabilitation provided with me, and he saw that I had somewhat of a skill for the home automation stuff. I was a little bit of a computer nerd, I guess, and he was able to offer me a job that started out. I wasn't necessarily working for money at the time. I was just working for some cool technology toys and stuff like that, and we were trading our services. And eventually it turned into a job opportunity to where I was able to install home automation systems across the United States for people with disabilities. I fortunately at the time had a nurse that was able to travel with me, and he was a little bit technologically inclined as well. So I live in Pensacola. We were able to travel to Louisiana, Alabama, other areas in Florida, as far as I believe Indiana and stuff, to install some home automation systems. I kind of grew away from that job a little bit just because Alexa and stuff like that started coming out. So, where we were offering a proprietary kind of service that wasn't necessarily available to everybody. Once Alexa and stuff came out, we did dabble a little bit in that, setting those up for people. But, my job came more of a glorified tech support thing where people were calling me and, telling me how they forgot their passwords and stuff like that. And I'm like, I realized that job was not something that was really fulfilling my expertise and whatnot. So I kind of veered away from that a little bit. I did receive another associate's degree and a bachelor's degree thanks to vocational rehabilitation in business administration, and my bachelor's in marketing, which opened up several other doors and opportunities for me as well. I one day was interested, saw an ad for a job opening as an independent travel agent working for Expedia Cruises in a local office here in my area, and I was able to jump on that opportunity and took advantage of that opportunity. And I've been doing that ever since. It's something I truly enjoy, and it's given me the freedom to travel and explore my passions. It's really important to try to figure out what you enjoy doing, and something that's going to be easy for you necessarily. Obviously, some of the number one challenges I have with working might be probably my caregivers. I mean, if a caregiver calls in sick and you have a whole afternoon of appointments booked up, that can pose a problem if you're not working from home. So I do work in a local office and stuff, and I do travel to and from the office a couple times a week. So, caregivers are huge, and finding reliable caregivers is definitely going to be, probably the number one barrier for people to, achieving employment that's outside of the home. A lot of people are not self-motivated necessarily to work from home, and it's not for everybody. Just because, I myself, I do need to have somewhat of a separate environment versus my home to be a little bit more productive. So I really do enjoy going into the office and whatnot. But just over the years, I definitely recommend getting out and joining any kind of local organizations. If income is a problem at first, maybe try volunteering some places. I definitely was able to volunteer at a local rehab facility here in Pensacola, Florida, the same rehab facility I spent after my spinal cord injury. I didn't have the opportunity to go to Shepherd's or any of the big name places, unfortunately, due to Florida Medicaid's restrictions at the time. So I went to a local rehab facility, and I started volunteering there. They allowed me to use some of their workout equipment as well, without having to pay for stuff. So maybe start by volunteering. If you just want to dabble in a couple things, you'd be surprised how many organizations there are in your area. That'll be willing to let you do stuff for them for free, obviously. So definitely try to volunteer. in some local organizations and stuff to if you're a little scared about working or a little hesitant and whatnot. But let's see. And then as far as Able United goes, unfortunately, or any Able account at that matter, each state is going to have their own Able accounts set up. So unfortunately, the only restriction to the Able account at the time, at this present time, is going to be the age restriction. So the requirement to open up an Able account is going to be the age of, you have to have been disabled before the age of 26. So it is imperative that your disability was before the age of 26, but an Able account does allow me to earn approximately in the state of Florida an extra $14,000 a year from working in addition to their $17,000 contribution. And this is going to vary by state. So some of the states that do have the Medicaid buy-in programs are not necessarily going to have as high amount of able to work kind of contribution limits. So, and they are changing this in 2 years to where if you were disabled before the age of 46, then you will be able to open one of these accounts. Again, that's not going into effect until I believe January of 2026, and 2026, maybe January 2027. I'm sorry, but starting on that date, age 46 and under, as long as you're disabled before that age, you will be able to utilize those accounts. Definitely, if that's not an option to you, maybe talk to a family member. See if they're willing to start their own business in their name. You really have to get creative. Obviously, nobody wants to be a burden to society or stuck on government benefits their whole life. But in my particular situation, it's like, do I lose $550,000 in nursing care because I'm provided 24-hour RN coverage per year? Obviously, there's no job that I'm going to walk into where I'm going to make 500 something thousand dollars a year. So, you have to use some of these other financial instruments, which could be costly and stuff. So, to implement. So, there's a lot of trusts that you can set up, special needs trust that family members can set up for you. First party special needs trust pretty much is going to allow you to, set up something where you can put money that you work for. There's a lot of restrictions, and obviously legal counsel is going to be quite costly. But going back to vocational rehabilitation, there definitely some resource that can help you with, maybe covering some of those legal costs for, setting up some of these special needs trusts and whatnot. So, vocational rehabilitation is probably the single biggest, impact that anybody can have on anybody's life that's looking to get employed. And I would say at least start there. Unfortunately, as everybody knows, government employees are not going to be the most proactive in helping you. And vocational rehabilitation is typically, while they are federally funded, it's going to be run on a state by state basis. So they're not the best paid employees, and they're really not going to know. All the resources and all the things that are available to you and stuff. So you really have to be your own advocate and communicate the need for something on your own. Fortunately, when I was working for the home automation company, we were able to justify everything from like Apple Watches for clients. I had this one girl that I knew. She was sitting at her table doing some work, and she's quadriplegic as well, but she didn't have upper body support. So she knocked over some water on the table, and she fell face first into the puddle of water that was on her table. And unfortunately couldn't move for like 3 hours until somebody came home and found her there. So, we were able to get her hooked up with an Apple Watch, and we were able to justify that expense through the state vocational rehabilitation services to provide that for her in case of emergency. So you really have to think outside the box when trying to become employed or make that happen. But I would like to open up to anybody who has any questions about any of that kind of stuff, or any of my other personal experiences and whatnot, or any of the challenges and stuff that you may be facing. Maybe give you some ideas on how you can maybe pursue work as well.
I don't have, but oh, Brina, go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Brina. Thank you so much, Spencer. This is really valuable. I'm actually right at the point now where I'm thinking, okay, it's time for me to call vocational rehab. And I am frightened out of my mind because I don't know what to say. And I talked with one person who was helpful and told me like pretty much what you're saying, but I don't know. I don't really know what I'm saying. Pretty much, what do I say? I call them on the phone and then what?
So yeah, so you're gonna want to pretty much call them, tell them you're living with a disability. You're gonna need some assistance on how to get back employed. You know, you don't necessarily want to ask them too much, especially a counselor. They're gonna probably evaluate you to a limited extent. You know, they have to deal with so many various disabilities that are coming through their doors, whether it be physical disabilities, you know, mental disabilities that you know, maybe some problems and stuff like that. So that, you know, they don't necessarily know. There's going to be most likely a rehab engineer and some other staff that are going to be working with you further through the process. So, you know, the first step is really just getting set up with them because you know, they're going to have you go through so many processes where you have to apply, and they're going to do some evaluations on you, see what kind of job areas are gonna be best for you. They're going to see what kind of educational stuff that will better help you, you know, achieve those goals, or you know, maybe in a career that you're interested in pursuing. But you know, I wouldn't necessarily be scared of them, but I would definitely, you know, maybe research on your own and see what kind of tools would make, you know, a job that you're potentially interested in, you know, a little bit better. You know, and then go in there and tell them these are the things I need. So, you know, I don't know what kind of disability you have, but you know, if you have a physical disability or can't use your hands, you know, you may need to go in there and say that, okay, I use this Windows computer. I need to use some Dragon Naturally Speaking, or you know, maybe I need some you know, assistive speaker devices or some light switches that, you know, maybe you're stuck in bed and you can't turn the lights on, you can't adjust the thermostat. You know, I mean, they'll cover those kinds of things. You know, I mean, a thermostat, I'm after my spinal cord injury, I'm always freezing. So, you know, for me to work productively from home, I definitely need to have access to, you know, comfortable temperature in my house. And, you know, it's always a fight with me and my caregivers of what the temperature is going to be set at. And, you know, there was many years there where I didn't have caregivers for so many hours in a day. And, you know, that was vital for me being productive and stuff. So, you know, if you justify the things that you need, they're also going to do they're going to set you up with the ticket to work program as well through Social Security. They're going to evaluate you. I think it's called a whip or something like that, or the evaluation process that they do for that. It's pretty much going to give you a breakdown of how much money you can earn without affecting any of your benefits. They're going to go over some of the you know, some job ideas. They're going to maybe go over expenses. I mean, you know, depending on what services you do receive now, whether it be Social Security or Medicaid. Medicaid does vary by state, but Social Security, if you're starting your own business, I believe the total now is about 900 something dollars a month. That if you earn below that amount every month, then you know your Social Security benefits are not affected by that. If you're running your own business, let's say, and you know, not relying on Medicaid necessarily, or you know, if you have a Medicaid buy-in program in your state, it's not going to be, you know, that's not going to be as much of a problem. But you know, running your own business, it's 900 something dollars of extra income. That is after any expenses and stuff like that. So you know, in my instance, you know, I had to use some creative tax tech or creative things to in order to keep my Social Security, which at the moment, which I do have a lot of expenses. So I'm working as a travel agent right now. I'm trying to expand, you know, maybe creating some YouTube content, stuff like that for travel. So, you know, cruising is my number one passion and number one area of expertise. So, what I didn't know with the taxes and stuff like that is that you can only deduct, yeah, I think it's like $2,000 a year for deductions for cruising. But a loophole around that is that if you have training, some kind of training or some kind of event, or if you're filming or something like that, you can deduct that percentage of the trip. So if I go on a 7-day cruise, let's just say if I have some type of video that I'm producing every single one of those days on the trip, if I meet with some of the ship staff during certain days of those particular trip, on the trip and stuff like that, then for tax purposes, I was able to, claim that as a tax expense. So, it's obviously you're going to need to talk to accountants, legal teams, and stuff like that, that are proficient in elder care law, and disability trusts and all these types of things. But vocational rehabilitation will pretty much fund just about any of that kind of stuff for you. And I've had so many counselors and so many friends, and I volunteer for a lot of other local disability related organizations, and I've had counselors that'll tell people, no, flat out, we don't do any of that kind of stuff. And just they really don't know, they're not trained well enough. But you do have the right to request those services if they're gonna promote you getting some gainful employment. So you really have to get creative, and everybody's situation is obviously pretty unique and stuff. So you really have to advocate for yourself and figure out what you need almost on your own. And then obviously you might come across some good counselors or some great rehab engineers and stuff like that. But you really have to identify what you need in order to make employment possible. So it's really just about being your own advocate ultimately.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Can I ask another question? I
Yeah,
don't
sure.
like it, but also for this, you were talking about the Center for Independent Living.
Sure.
What can I expect from them? That you said.
So the Center for Independent Living, it varies by location across the country. Some of them do have some expanded programs that do offer more benefits than others. So for the instance, the one that I sit on the board here in Northwest Florida for the Center for Independent Living, and the secretary here, and they do offer loan lockers. They have what's called FAST. It's like the Florida Alliance for Assistive Tech Services and Technology. They can provide you with some types of assistive devices to try out for a couple months and stuff like that. If you need wheelchairs, walkers, shower wheelchairs, they can provide some of that stuff. They provided some people in my area with emergency repairs on vehicles. They might offer some money for certain things like that. They are definitely going to be more experts on guiding or pointing you in the right direction of resources in your local community. So they may have relationships with housing assistance in your area. Those programs, they may have some contacts or counselors or caseworkers in various healthcare organizations in the area. So it just really varies based on location. But if you find one that's close to you, you can definitely give them a call and see what's offered. So it's a wide range. It's a wide range of stuff. They're gonna people that are living in nursing facilities and stuff like that. They can guide you a little bit on how to transition from living and residing in a nursing facility to independent living. So they're not going to necessarily provide you with independent housing or anything like that, but they're going to tell you, okay, this is where you have to go. You have to go talk to this department in your community. They'll be able to give you the steps and stuff, and they'll have experience from prior clients to some of those things. Our particular center in the area, I believe we interact with about 2,000 or 3,000 different individuals every year for our area of Northwest Florida. So they're a great resource of just guiding you with or educating you on some of the resources that are already available in your area that you just might not be aware of, or local nonprofit organizations that may offer grants for certain things. They're just a wealth of knowledge, and I can't speak for each one individually, but just from working with the one here in the Northwest Florida region, I can definitely tell you that they've been a wealth of knowledge, and I've learned a lot working with them as well. So
Thank you. Yeah, so I called them, and then they said, well, what do you need? And I was just injured in July and I was like, I don't know, what do you offer? So that's really helpful. Thank you.
Absolutely.
There's a question in the chat from Tanya. It says, is there a way we can contact you later with questions about going back into a voc rehab place?
Yeah, actually, my email address is if you want to not note it down, maybe leave it in the
Yeah,
comments or
I'll
chat
note it
there.
down and then I'll have Brianna send it in the email.
Sure, it's going to be at sblumquist@expediacruises.com. So my first initial followed by my last name at expediacruises.com. You can reach out to that email. That's what I'm most receptive to, and I'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions about, any of that kind of stuff, for sure.
You said Expedia.com?
Expediacruises.com.
Yes, Expedia Cruises.
That'd be the best one to just get a quick response from for me. So
Okay, we'll take a look at that and make sure that it's right.
yep, looks good.
Okay. And then Chris wants to know, what is a loan locker?
So the loan locker is going to be various equipment that they may have had donated to them or that they purchased just for if they have particular things that are needed in their community. So we have a ton of people that might just need some of this stuff temporarily. They might have had a quick a slight injury, they might need a walker, a rollator, sometimes a standing frames, wheelchairs. They'll loan out Alexa speakers to people, assistive technology devices for people with hearing, physical, any kind of disability. So it's pretty much just going to be a resource for some type of durable medical equipment that can be loaned out temporarily to individuals. And they if you do have insurance funding and stuff like that, there's cases where they do purchase some of those for people in the community. Again, it really just depends on the grants that your local center center receives and stuff like that. So it can vary, but in Florida, like I said, we do have the FAST program, which is the Florida Assistive Accessible Services and Technology wing of CIL, and I've borrowed some stuff like that from them, shower wheelchairs and stuff like that. So they are definitely a it's not an actual locker. So but it is just equipment that they do have in their inventory that they can loan out. They do make you sign a waiver because some of the equipment sometimes is donated. So they'll do their best to make sure that everything is safe and operating well. But obviously it can help you out in a pinch. So it's not meant to be permanent, but it's definitely a great resource for something that you might not need, or something that you might need until insurance or something like that can help you out with. And if you're having trouble applying for Medicaid, they can definitely guide you through the process of applying for those additional benefits and stuff. So
Any more questions, guys? Girls? All the things.
All the questions. Can I ask another one?
yeah, ask as
Yeah,
many as
go
you
for
want.
it.
I was just going to ask a little, can you tell me a little bit more about pretty much I want to know about the cruising. You said, so tell me more.
So I'm a travel agent. I started working with Expedia Cruises. I do sell cruises for able-bodied individuals, but I do specialize in accessible travel. Every job and volunteer thing I've done over the years, I've kind of wanted to give back to my own disability community and stuff. So about 50% of my travel business is booking trips for people with disabilities. So what that entails is just not only booking the trips, but we arrange and coordinate accessibility services for clients as well. So that can be assistance at the port areas, rental equipment on vacation. So we are called Expedia Cruises, but we're Airland and Sea Vacations. So we do provide vacations to various locations. We have several partners and tour companies that can provide accessible transportation. You know, whether you're going and traveling to Jamaica or you know, St. Thomas or whatnot, we can definitely provide you know, accessible services, excursions that maybe even cruise lines might not offer. You know, and stuff like that. So working through Expedia, about 50% of my clients are you know, just clients that Expedia might send our way and whatnot. But you know, I do focus 50% of my business on catering to those individuals with disabilities, and you know, everything from autism to physical disabilities and stuff. We've booked trips for, and you know, I'm currently you know, over $1 million in sales. So you know, it's been pretty successful and lucrative. And you know, the more and more successful you get operating business, the more creative you have to get. You know, and protecting the benefits that, you know, you can't afford to lose necessarily. Like I said, you know, unfortunately, we don't have a Medicaid buy-in program in the state of Florida. You know, we're one of only a handful of states that does not offer that. So, you know, when you earn above a certain income, you definitely, you know, that 500 something thousand dollars in nursing benefits, I can't lose that. So, you know, I have to do everything in my ability to protect that, you know. So, and vocational rehabilitation again is the main resource I think that will definitely be crucial in helping you navigate that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you.
problem.
Can I ask one more? It's really for real, the last one. Okay.
Sure.
Can you tell me more about the Able account? Because I opened it and then I thought, how is this helping me? I don't
Sure.
really,
So you're disabled before the age of 26. How old are you now? Or
yeah, different disability, but yeah, I mean, I opened
sure.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Able account pretty much allows you to, I guess it's like a shell bank account, maybe, you know, I mean, the same way some people have these shell bank accounts. So the ABLE Act, which was enacted by Congress, it's the Achieving a Better Life um, act that was enabled, I believe it was 8 or 9 years ago. I don't remember the exact date offhand. But they pretty much allow you to earn money from income and stuff without affecting Medicaid, without affecting housing assistance. You know, Medicaid and Social Security, a lot of times the savings amount is $2,000 that you're allowed to have. You know, $2,000 really not enough to cover some emergency expenses and whatnot. So an ABLE account in my state at least allows me to save up to $100,000. You know, somewhat tax free, doesn't affect my benefits. You know, it varies a little bit by state, but it allows me to save up to $100,000 in the bank and use that on any qualified disability expenses, including entertainment, which, you know, many people don't realize, but, you know, I can use that on going out to dining, going to the movies, going, you know, on travel and stuff like that. So it pretty much just allows me to contribute a greater amount than what, you know, Medicaid by itself limits are. So for Medicaid in the state of Florida is $2,000 I can have max in the bank. You know, my house flooded you know, first time in 2014 and the second time in 2020 for Hurricane Sally. You know, I fortunately was able had $25,000 in the bank, and you know, I was able to access that immediately without you know, having to hide cash in my house or do all these other tactics that unfortunately people like with disabilities have to you know, do. So it's super unfortunate. So in that particular scenario, you know, I was able to have a rainy day fund pretty much set up, you know, for those what ifs that, you know, $2,000 is not, you know, not going to cut it. You know, if your transmission on your car goes out and you have to come up with $4,500, really the only other option would be credit. But you know, when you don't have a large income, obviously, you know, banks not willing to loan you, you know, an extra $2,500 for that transmission if you don't have anything, you know, an income source or anything like that. So, you know, the ABLE account really allows people, you know, to be a little bit more prepared for unexpected expenses and stuff like that. So, and then, you know, even if you're not planning on saving the money and you're still working, you can deposit the money through the account. You pretty much have to funnel the money through your ABLE account and then spend it from your ABLE account on those specific expenses. So, you know, the restrictions of that is you can't have, so if the $2,000 a month or a $2,000 savings limit in your bank account, you can deposit that before the end of the month. Before the 30th of the month, you have to have it deposited into your Able account. And then, whether you have them write a check directly or you just transfer it right back into your bank account. They also offer a prepaid debit card option that you could use to spend on certain items. So, and those disability related expenses can be pretty much anything. Like I said, entertainment is an option, travel, any extra out of pocket expenses you might have that insurance doesn't cover for you. So it's pretty much just a bank account for people with disabilities to better protect themselves and allow them to earn a little bit more money. Obviously, it's not perfect. I'm still limited to 30, a legitimate 30 something $1,000 a year in income total. In my state, but I'm not sure what state you live in. So you may have access to, like I said, the buy-in program or whatnot. But with that Able account, that's gonna allow you to contribute, whatever it is in your state, up to that amount without affecting, those benefits that you need. So, the Able account is fantastic.
Thank you. That was my question. So it's a savings. It allows you to have savings, but it doesn't affect what you have to report your income is. Right.
So you still have to report to the IRS and everything, and then there's some variations depending on Social Security disability versus SSI and SSD. There's some differences with that. And vocational rehabilitation should be able to set you up with the Ticket to Work program and give you a little bit more clarification on that. So depending on whether you have SSD or SSI, there still are some restrictions on that. It's a little bit less restrictive on the Medicaid stuff. So the direct income doesn't necessarily matter, whereas Social Security, whether or not you put it or SSI or SSD, I can't remember the exact one off the top of my head, but your limit would be the $940 a month, which if you spend over, or earn over that 900 something dollars a month, that goes towards your vocational rehabilitation can explain it a little bit better. But there's like a trial work period. I don't want to confuse you with all this kind of stuff where you can earn an unlimited amount of income for the first 9 months of working for Social Security purposes. Now you have to watch out for Medicaid. Everything has to, work together. So, you definitely want to, advise your specific situation. But, for 9 months, you can earn as much as you would like for Social Security purposes. So, but any months after that, if you earn I think every dollar that you earn over the 900 something dollar limit, or every $2 you earn over that limit, your Social Security would get reduced by $1. So it's complicated, and there's a lot more loopholes, bad enough that we're dealing with organizing caregivers and all these extra doctor appointments, all that kind of stuff. So it's not easy, but at least vocational rehabilitation will cover specialists that can go over your specific needs and your specific circumstances and stuff. And that's not going to be the only resource that you would have to utilize. I would definitely, try to speak with an accountant, maybe that's familiar with it. See if they can help you with further resources such as legal counsel, as well to, use some of those other financial instruments such as special needs trusts and whatnot to, earn the most amount of money you can while still, receiving whatever services that you may need.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I would just like to add that, Voc Rehab and all these resources, they are free. So, I know, Josh, who spoke earlier, his services are free. Travel agents are free to an extent. All these things are available to us, thankfully, for free. So definitely dig through, do your research, find the right people, and make those connections and really use it to your advantage, you know?
Yeah, like you said, my services as a travel agent are free. So whether you're going to book it through a cruise line, some of the advantages of booking a trip through me is, having Expedia, the Expedia brand behind me does give us some opportunities to, they buy trips in bulk. So, we have access to rates that you know, even the cruise lines are not going to offer to the general public and whatnot. And you know, the cruise lines or any of the travel partners that we serve, you know, they do provide us commissions, and you know, those are not you know, not charged to the client. So you know, again, those services are free to you, you know, and it's definitely, especially when traveling with disability, you know, definitely beneficial to use somebody that's maybe been there and done that. And you know, feel free to visit my website. It's willieawesomeadventures.com, and you can sign up for chance into our monthly vacation giveaway and stuff. So and that's Willie, WHEELIE, awesomeadventures.com, and you can just hit sign up on the top of the page, and that will you know, give you access to sign up form for our monthly vacation giveaways.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Spencer. Does anyone else have any more questions or additional questions, anything like that? We are about to hit our hour mark, so but I do want to make sure that we leave no questions not unasked. If not, we will go ahead and close this out. Thank you guys so much for coming. If you're a repeat person attending, thank you. If you're a new person attending, thank you. Tomorrow we are going to have cosplay. So adaptive cosplay. I imagine that is going to be a really cool experience. So if you haven't signed up, go ahead and sign up for that. You will get an email with this recording, or yeah, those are the right words. And then attached will be Spencer's website and Spencer's email, so that you guys can contact him if you would like to. Okay.
Thanks so much for having me, Jackie. It was a pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity to talk with you
Yeah.
guys. And if you have any questions, anybody, just feel free to send me an email. And you know, whether it be about travel or any other kind of disability related stuff, I'm more than happy to share whatever you know, question you might have. And you know, if it's not something I can answer for you directly, maybe you know, I can send you in the right direction, and yeah, you get those questions answered. And you know, good luck to everybody out there, and you know, and keep living life to the fullest. All right.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So we will see you guys tomorrow if you guys come on, or we will see you the next time around. I know that they're planning on one in just a few months. All right. So you guys have a good night.
All right. Take care.